Shalom, praise to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Harakah Kadash. The one is the elder apostles of great most honorable well. Shalom to all the brothers doing work, sharing truth, pushing its word to the four corners. Uh, yeah, I was just meditating on this because you had like over the course of this week and last week, like various prisoner releases happen, which I think is a thing that's been happening over here for a little while. There was a period of time they said they were gonna cut back. Well, the prisons have been overfilled in the UK for a minute, but then they said they'll functionally gonna cut back on people having to as many prison terms and let people out quicker, or let certain people out that served a certain amount of their time. But just in the wake of the digital ID being brought in, and then even with that the digital ID being brought in, it was directed as something to deal with what's it called, uh, immigration was part of it, illegal immigration, people working illegally, these various aspects of society. So then now you have all of a sudden like a bunch of people where it's like, I think it's like 3, 4 is that have been like put in the news where they're starting a manhunt for these geezers, where they said that they just let them out. And I remember it was there was a big one with the Eritrean dude, where it was like, this guy was just let loose in, apparently just in a big city, and just like let off. And then they were like, "Oh no, he needs to be hunted down. It was an accident," which is just like how the fuck is this happening? But then with these kind of guys just being let loose, then I'd think, okay, they might have it as it's something to just put scare for the people out there, to then be like, okay, we're gonna have like even more tracking functions or whatnot, because they already have where it's like tags. They already have people getting chipped to a certain extent for those things, but then that might standardize it or something where it's like, okay, you could, because I think they already had it as a thing years back, where they said if you get you get a C hip put inside, then you can be let out earlier. So this is what is on The Guardian. It says David Lammy under pressure as two more prisoners mistakenly freed. Algerian sex offender and a fraudster released by Wandsworth Jail days after new checks brought in. So David Lammy, the UK Justice Secretary, is under mounting pressure after two more prisoners, including a convicted foreign sex offender, were mistakenly freed. And it's something that as well, it's like people are going to be on edge, because the push has been, it started from way back with the the grooming rings, gr- grooming gangs. Yeah, man, I need the alliteration. The grooming gangs, where they'll basically present it as far as like with these grooming gangs that little girls are just being grabbed up and flip turned and passed around and whatnot. Where it's become a big focal point. And then obviously the main thing was like the migrant hotels and whatnot. But these things are now all wrapped up to where um, they're basically going to combine all those issues. It's just the same thing that's happening in the States, where Trump's talking about the crime and then immigration, and then kind of just had it where it's like, okay, we built this, we're just going to have this police force go out, with military backing, with militarized police as well, to then go and deal with all those issues. Anyone resisting, they got the green light to kind of just grab them up and do a madness. We said what Lammy had refused multiple times to say whether any more prisoners had been released in error in a bruising session of the Prime Minister's questions, having been ambushed. So that's the thing as well, is like, I think the ones that were people were alerted to was only because they were making a big fuss about it. But then if they weren't going to make that fuss, then you wouldn't even know, like, man were out there. It says on Wednesday evening, the Ministry of Justice said Lammy had not been accurately informed of key details when he asked about missing prisoners. Almost immediately after the exchange of Prime Minister's questions, it was revealed that Brahim Kaddour Sharif, a 24-year-old Algerian who had overstayed visa, had been wrongly released from Wandsworth Prison in South London last Wednesday, with the Met Police informed only on Tuesday. So, yeah, it was what, a 6-day head start? Yeah. So yeah, and there was, I think there was comments from cops talking about it. So I said the same prison also accidentally freed the fraudster William Smith, aka Billy, 35, described as whiteboard and clean shaven. He was sentenced to 45 months. That guy is already he handed himself in. Says the latest errors come just days after Hadush Kabatu, Ethiopian, not Eritrean, Ethiopia, was accidentally freed from Chelmsford prison despite convictions for sexually assaulting a 14-year-old and a woman days after arriving in the UK in a small boat. So yeah, it's like, letting these guys out is just like how that's even coming together makes no sense whatsoever. But then with these things, it's just looking at it, it feels like this is building up towards that narrative as well of what you call it, building up to that narrative of like, look, we're the system we currently have, the things we have in place, that's not able to deal with it. We're gonna have to come in with more force, with greater powers, and that's always kind of where these things go. It's greater powers and whatnot to what do you call it? Yeah, bring them together, because the other guy, the fraudster, turned himself back in. And then this guy, what it said, he was captured by a Sky News camera crew at 11:30 a.m. where a man initially claimed to be someone else. Police officers then approached him and put him into the back of the police van after telling him he was under arrest. Yeah. And David Lammy, it's just like, you got a Jake up there. It's like, oh, hell no. They're not. Ain't no one trying to see, try and see this guy. It's like, last Jake you had on the big stage was that fucking, what's his name, man? Oh, I can't even remember his name. The guy that was with Liz Truss, where he was the one that, he was Chancellor, so he put through the financial the financial changes where it's like, oh, we're going to unlimit the bankers' bonuses and whatnot. Some of the least popular changes. So, Jake's kind of at the forefront of that. But then, yeah, it's it's not looking good, bruv. Yeah, it's what is it? The homeless man you seen claimed he called the police after recognizing him. Yeah, 6-day head start because the mistaken release was only reported to the Met a week later. So yeah, that's why a sentence for trespass with intent to steal. He's convicted for indecent exposure and thingy and was given 18-month community order and placed on sex offenders register. So it's like, with examples like this, you're just then gonna be like, how the fuck is it that this guy's just able to, he's got all these crimes, he's got a list of offences. They got a picture of the guy's face, but then they would just, just let him out, just let him, go for a stroll. So then if they're like, okay, look, we're gonna have an aspect to the digital ID where it's gonna track certain things. It's basically gonna restrict certain movements, these things. That's when it wouldn't even be a surprise. It wouldn't even be a surprise, really, and it would likely go through as well, because you think, how the fuck, these guys are just getting a green light to stroll out and just be in amongst the people. It's a madness. But then read this, 2 Corinthians 2:11. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Yeah, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. And that's really a core aspect of it as well. We know that, these incidents happen. Because the thing is, it's not even like these men, it's not Prison Break. These men didn't go in with a tattoo of the whole prison, like Wandsworth prison, on his back And then, and man spent the last 8 months breaking. Now, man just releasing them. So it's like the whole situation in itself is just funky as fuck. But these are, now that's become a standard, expectation. So it says what, gonna get this as well. Genesis 3 and 1. It says what? Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord Yahweh power had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath the power said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. So yeah, the serpent was more subtle than any creature in the garden. And that's really the core kind of aspect when you're dealing with Esau. When you're dealing with Esau Edom, he's that subtle creature, man. And he utilizes that wisdom, utilizes that understanding to basically what? To bring about his plans, his desires. And that's really what you're seeing come to the forefront. Because, now they've kind of pushed through that that they've got the angle for what do you call it? They've got the angle for the digital ID. It's just, basically putting all these different systems they've got separate underneath that one thing. Because why? That's the key place where it's all going towards, man. That mark. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom.